Call a meeting to order at 4 o'clock. Roll call.
Commissioner Carey,
Here.
Commissioner Molina,
Here.
Commissioner Batterson,
Here.
Commissioner Lee is not here, and Commissioner Velasco is joining us by telephone.
Here.
Okay, I'd like to move on to approval of the minutes for July 12th, 2022.
I abstained since I was not here.
Okay, I'd like to move to the minute. Guy, I lost my word.
Approve.
Approve, thank you. What you?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Public comments? Presentations?
Commissioner Molina, good evening, Commissioners. I'd like to make a quick introduction today of our new Community Outreach Coordinator, Jasmine Gonzalez, who will be joining us today. Jasmine's role and responsibilities within the department are really to be that outreach person in the community. So you'll see Jasmine at most special events, Downtown Fridays, National Night Out, and other community events like back to school nights and so on to share what the department is doing. You'll also see her handling a lot of our social media, and we have she's got some big shoes to fill there. We've got some great people she works with, including our graphic artist, Sasha. So her goal will be to get the word out about all the great things we're doing, as well as listen to the community with their wants and needs and take that into account and bring it back to the department. So please welcome Jasmine if you see her out and about.
Jasmine, I'm going to put you on the spot. You want to step over to the mic and tell the commission a little bit about yourself? See how good that public presentation stuff is, okay?
Right there.
Hello, everybody. So I have worked a little bit with community presentation. As a young girl, I always did the announcements for my school, so I have some experience with public speaking. Since then, I've gotten really involved with the community. For example, in high school, I was the water girl for our high school football team, and I dedicated more than 800 hours to that community service. Since then, I've just been trying to get involved and doing the best that I can. I've really enjoyed my time working as the community outreach and marketing coordinator, especially at National Night Out, because I got to meet so many of our community members and pair them up with events and programs that I think they'd enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. Do we have any new business today? No. Old business?
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Millan and Commissioners. So we have, in your packet, we included the information on the Landmark Advisory Committee and how we discussed at your last meeting how we wanted to move ahead with that. So we did provide you two documents. One of them is the responsibilities and procedures for the Landmark Advisory Committee. And then the second activity would be for you to appoint a chair and co-chair for the committee, and that would be of two commission members. So for refresher purposes, if you flick to that document on page 6, the highlights of the document are that the commission now has the responsibility to serve as the city's landmark committee. And the staff recommendation was that we make it a committee of the commission with two commissioners being the official committee people. That way it keeps you all within your own group of the Brown Act so that you are not having to have a whole other commission or another body that's Brown Act tied. So the actual working people in the committee would be the two commissioners. The duties of the members, of those two members of the committee, would be to organize and run the committee, deal with the staff as far as requests that come in for landmark committee, or to generate their own recommendations on landmarks. there is a section of the municipal code that kind of lays out what is considered a landmark. And that would be what the committee should refer to and staff would refer to in making recommendations for landmark approvals. Ultimately, it's recommendations that would be made back to this commission, and then this commission would make a recommendation to the planning commission to designate a landmark. That's pretty much the crux of the work process product that has to come out. Secondarily, public participation. So again, in order to comply with the Brown Act, we would be looking at the two committee members when they hold their meetings. Staff would publicize the meetings and invite those individuals who have expressed an interest in the landmark committee, those past members who were on the landmark committee before, and they could attend as members of the public and have input and discussion with the two commissioners that are assigned to the project. And then again, develop the commission recommendation and then bring it back to the commission for adoption. So it really is just kind of a little bit of a hybrid of a Brown Act committee and a non-Brown Act committee. And the goal was there to avoid having to deal with Brown Act restrictions. Committee could meet on a regular basis. Those would be something that the committee chairs would figure out when they wanted to meet. The recommendation was, I believe it was twice a year at minimum, and then more often as needed. Well, we put in here, I'm sorry, it says Landmark Committee shall meet quarterly should there be sufficient items for consideration or to request staff support. Meetings shall be held at the Rec and Parks office. And then we broke out the dates at noon, the third Wednesdays of January, April, July, and October. So the first meeting of the group, if it's adopted today, would be in October, and that would be where we would invite the public to that meeting. There were, from what my understanding is, the past members of the council-appointed committee were interested in being invited again, so we would invite them to that first October meeting. The main thing I think that is a little bit different is that the committee would make the recommendation based on what the municipal code says. The problem with the municipal code is it has this convoluted process of having to go through planning commission. And I talked with the planning director about it, and the verbiage that we're looking at making an amendment to the municipal code would be that it would say something to the effect that in consultation with the director of community development, the commission recommendations would move directly onto the council, so that the planning commission would not be involved anymore in the process. That'll take us some time because the city attorney's office only makes code amendments, every 2 times or so per year. So the next opportunity that they have to do the updates to the municipal code, we would make that change to the municipal code, making it simply this commission's action with consultation with the director of community development, and then advancing it on to the council. And it's very similar to like in the tree ordinance, it's very similar to how we do like historic trees or heritage trees, I think they're called. So that's the only real potential change coming up in the future. Yeah, I believe that's it. So tonight, your action would be to adopt these general procedures. And if they work for you, then appointing the commissioners to serve in those 2 positions. And based on the comments made at the last commission meeting, both Commissioner Carey and Commissioner Patterson were okay with continuing to serve on that committee. So that would be staff's recommendation.
It's fine. Oh,
Somebody make a motion to approve that?
I can make a motion to approve, sorry, let me just get the the responsibilities of the Landmark Committee administered by the Recreation and Parks Commission and appoint Commissioner Batterson and Carey as co-chairs.
Okay, we have a motion? Second, I second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Well, that was easy
Welcome,
enough.
Commissioners.
So your staff person will be Mr. Smitherman for the time being, as far as Landmark Committee goes. So he'll be more than happy to work with you on that. And we're jumbling some things around right now, but for now, Dennis will be the contact. So that October meeting, first Wednesday in October, I think is what we said?
First?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can plan that on your calendars, noon at the office, and we'll kind of go from there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Where are we at?
6B.
6, old business, Director and Management Staff,
Inclusion plan.
Inclusion Plan, old business.
So, Dennis?
Again, Commissioners, thank you. You have previously reviewed the inclusion plan. The plan was then taken back to staff to fill in those yellow highlighted areas that needed some dates or some actions. And so, meeting with staff, it's been identified who our community partners in the future would be to identify, once our 1 year comes up, to have them reevaluate the plan. And in your packet, you'll notice that we filled in those blanks. They included Fighting Back Santa Maria, Pacific Pride, Special Olympics. One more.
Hey, Dennis, where are you seeing the names of those agencies? I don't see that in the
Yeah,
plan.
I'm noticing that too. Those were edited out. But we would work
okay.
with those partners or similar partners down the road to make sure that we're on the right path and make sure that we're meeting the goals of including everybody of the whole plan. The other aspects were just making sure that we have staff training underway, which we actually have already started that in many aspects with our youth center, with the mayor's task force, and now it's expanding it to the department as a whole to include them in some additional inclusivity training. And then really just the goal stayed the same, making sure that we're able to meet the needs of the entire community. And this really gives us that plan to do so and a map on how to do it. So we're looking tonight for your approval of the inclusion plan.
Commissioner Velasco, Commissioners, just real quickly. So when I reviewed the plan, I did omit specific references to specific groups in the plan because I didn't want us to be held to those particular groups. So it's more of a generic group. And I think that as time goes on, the document needed to be a little more flexible so we could go to different groups whenever we needed to. So that's why those specific groups were edited out. But I believe the comment was other groups. Yes.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense, because in the first draft, I think it was highlighted you'd add them. So I didn't see that, but it makes more sense so that plan can be flexible.
Any other?
Sounds good.
So the purpose today would be for?
We're asking to have you again review the document which you have and then to approve it this evening to move forward as our operating plan for inclusion.
And we're happy to answer any questions you might have about it. I mean, to me, it's kind of a thing going on right now
Yeah.
in our industry anyway, and I'm sure in other industries, to make sure that we're addressing diversity, that we're outreaching to our various aspects of the community. So I think it was Commissioner Henderson brought it up, when she was serving her term, and it just took us 2 years to get to it, so.
Do you have any questions?
No.
Commissioner Velasco?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the inclusion plan as is.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, commissioners.
Could I just say,
Excuse me?
in the, I don't know if you, if you read the Tree Alliance, we get the tree, we're part of the Tree Alliance, and some of us probably read it closer than others, but they have an inclusion workshop. Have you seen that?
I have,
Okay.
yeah, they host it a couple of times a year, I've seen, so
yeah,
yeah,
it's
definitely.
coming- Yeah, okay.
Interesting take on trees and inclusion, so definitely great, right?
Who better?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, their angle is that typically lower income neighborhoods and urbanized areas are devoid of trees. And so, like you say, where better to put
Bingo,
trees
yeah.
than in those areas that are devoid of them, and to provide that education. So I think it's an interesting model. We'll see where it goes.
Moving on.
Yep.
We got a budget update.
Good evening, Commissioners. So on page 19 is basically what the beginning of the fiscal year looks like. Not a lot of spending going on just yet, although we're planning to do a lot of spending this year, especially with capital projects. With 8% of the year gone, we are under budget by 3%. Also, if you look at the following pages, starting on page 20, is a list of all the capital maintenance equipment projects that have been approved for this fiscal year by the Finance Department and by the City Manager and by City Council. Anyone have any questions on any of them? Anything that stands out that is exciting or maybe not as exciting?
They're all exciting.
This is Commissioner Velasco, sorry. On the pocket parks, are those updates or we're gonna make new pocket parks?
Good evening, Commissioner Velasco. We're looking to add 4 pocket parks over the next 4 years. This year, we're looking at the DeJoy property. We have discussed this in the past. Recently, last week, we held a meeting in the community to learn what the community was interested in that property, keeping in mind that a pocket park is generally a park that's smaller in nature, typically under an acre in size. So staff went out last week after distributing about 300 door hangers and inviting the public to this meeting. The main want in that community is a playground, so as one of the options, we'll be looking at a playground. There were some other areas that the community was interested in, so we're going to take those requests back to our landscape architect to see what we could develop and provide the public with a couple of options at a future community meeting. So this year, we're looking at DeJoy. We'll be identifying other properties in the future over the next 4 years.
Thank you.
Any other questions regarding
Any other
these
questions?
CMEPs, capital projects?
There's so many great ones.
Yeah, there.
All right,
Yeah, I
thank
think
you.
we did pretty well capital project-wise this year, which is a curse in one way, because then that means you need the staff to manage the projects. You need the bidding process, you need the architects, you need the engineering staff available to move projects forward. So it'll be a huge endeavor over the next probably 3 years to get these projects going.
Moving on. Director of Management Staff. We're going to go with noteworthy activities.
Noteworthies, anything in the noteworthies? No, anything in the word noteworthies worth noting? Dennis did provide a summer program update. Everybody has that little spreadsheet front and back, so don't forget to look at the back. And this is just the August, September thing here, so lots of things happening around the department, especially for the youth. School starts next Thursday. Craziness. I mean, it was really, we've had such a short break from school.
Yeah, we do have some changes to talk about during the next school year. School will be starting later for our high school students, starting at 8:30 in the morning and going until 4 p.m. in the afternoon. So we're looking at expanding the hours at the youth center to provide an opportunity for those teens that don't have somewhere to go in the morning or may need to get a ride from mom or dad before school starts, that we'll be able to provide a safe place for them, and then they could walk over to the school at that time. So we're looking to host that at both the youth center as well as Edwards Community Center. We're going to be able to start that pretty soon after school starts, and once we get the word out and market it to let families know they have an option for before school. It's not care in sense, it's we're providing a safe place for them to have activities just like they do after school. So it is a drop-in, and then at the time, at 8:20, we're gonna be like, okay, get to school. The nice thing is that they'll be in a group, so it's a little bit safer for them. I know Casey and the Rangers will be out there doing a little extra patrol in the morning to make sure they get there safely. At Pioneer, at Edwards Community Center, again, it's right there, so that makes it really convenient. We'll see how it looks and how the numbers go, if that's something that will continue through the year, if there's an interest, and we'll get back to you.
That's a great thing, yeah.
Director's report?
Thank you, Commissioner. So I really don't have anything in great detail, but a couple of things that are going on. So we will be putting out an email probably tonight, maybe first thing tomorrow morning. And as I mentioned a little earlier, we're going to be doing a little bit of shifting around of staff responsibilities. Mr. Stone and Mr. Smitherman were reclassified in this year's budget, and so their roles are going to change, and I'll define them better in the email that comes out. But basically, they have joined a class called Business Program Leader, which is kind of a broadband position of management level employees, and Mr. Smedo was our first person in that band. So Dennis and Casey will join him in that band of classification. So it'll be interesting to see how things kind of roll out, and add some responsibilities to Casey's role. Dennis will continue helping me out as the interim assistant, since right now there's no assistant director yet, and we still don't have a lot of information on how that's going to proceed. But I appreciate his efforts so far on keeping us on track and things. So, yeah, the memo will come out and kind of explain a little bit better. There's a graphic kind of a flow chart that we're providing so you can kind of see where everybody is. And we're hoping to get that all solidified, out of the way, operational by September 6th, which will be that Tuesday right after Labor Day. So, any questions, feel free to give me a holler. Other than that, I think the big thing was budget, that we did close out the year. The final numbers at the end of the year put us at about 2.8% under, I think was the number. Again, the staff did a great job keeping us under budget. There's a few odds and ends coming in, but for the most part, I think we did it. Even if we come in at 100%, I think we did a really good job this past year. The challenges, I think, for this next year will continue to be the limited number of people that we have. The difficulty we have hiring continues to be an issue. Neville has been working with HR on trying to look at some new ways of addressing recruitments and addressing the whole HR process. We have a number of openings, so it's just a matter of getting them filled and getting the right people in those spots. One of the things that we were successful in the budget was to take 10 of our 19-hour-a-week positions and kind of meld them together and create 5 32-hour-a-week positions that will hopefully allow us to hire people that will hang around a little bit longer than the 19-hour-a-week people. And we're going to put them in key roles in that face-to-face leadership, but key roles in leadership. So we're as my boss refers to them, the green shirts, the green shirt employees, the rec leaders that are out there. We'll have a few more in leadership roles and more permanent kinds of spots. So the good thing about the 32-hour-week positions is they also receive 32-hour benefits. So it's a little bit harder to leave a job if you have the medical and the other types of leave benefits and things included. So we're hoping that helps. The other thing that we're talking about now is increasing the part-time salaries, entry level from $15.50, I think it is right now for a rec leader. 15 even? Yeah. Trying to move that up towards the $17 mark. Again, recruitment has been difficult and retention has been difficult because people can get jobs now at other places, paying $17 an hour. So we're at least trying to remain somewhat competitive with those. Yeah, it's a different world in the HR world right now. I believe that's it for me. Sheila, I didn't have anything else today. Okay. That's it. Rec division?
Mr. Posadas, I got a quick question. for
Sure.
you. Talking with the boys and the girls, a couple people signed up. They were asking me questions about how do you do it online, or do they go into the Parks and Rec?
For employment?
Employment, yes.
Yeah, online now. Most of the city hiring is done on the website. So you just go to the city page, and then there's a click or a thing on the left there that says employment. And they just click on that, and then it tells you what's open. And then it also asks you, which is thing I think people miss the most, is it also asks you if you want to be put on a list to be notified when a job comes up. You got to put in keywords like recreation or parks or something so that it knows what information to send you. But yeah, people usually go to the website, look down the list, oh, there's nothing here. But they don't put their information in, and they'll automatically get an email whenever something comes up that's similar to what they wrote in as keywords. So, yes. And we're constantly hiring rec leaders, right? That's an open recruitment, so.
Yeah, I think I sent 3 last week, so we'll see how that works.
Yeah, and if you know of others, that are interested and, have a particular interest, we have a particular need right away. So, have them, contact Neville or have them contact Dennis, and we can, if necessary, and if they're a good person, we want to bring them on, we can bring them on through the temp agency while we do our general recruitment, because we don't interview every day. Obviously, we interview at a particular point in time once we get enough applicants. But if they're a good employee or a good potential employee, we could bring them on a temp basis.
Any other questions? Recreation Division report, Dennis?
As you saw from the calendar, we're not slowing down even though school is starting. We're just shifting our schedule. So again, school starts next Thursday. We have finished our recreation swim every day as of last weekend. We'll still be able to offer that on the weekends for now, as long as the weather stays nice, usually through the first part of December. So we're going to continue that. Swim lessons have been shifted to evening time. Again, our nice heated pool makes learning to swim easy any time of the day. So we're excited to still have full classes. Every class that's been scheduled has been full for the duration of the summer. So that's been good, getting people to learn how to swim. Speaking of swimming, I recently met with the Santa Maria Joint Union High School District and talked about the future of the aquatics program within the schools. And it was a really good conversation. That was a part of it. We also talked about a potential shared busing and also shared field space. But the main focus at that meeting was really to talk about the aquatics section. We're currently managing the pools at 3 high schools, Pioneer, Santa Maria, and then Rigetti as well. And in order to make sure that that pool, all three of those pools are being utilized at the highest level possible, because they are so cost prohibitive, it doesn't make sense to have them sit empty. And the staffing issues that we may be facing in the future, we really talked about how the school district can really start to take over their own pools for the lifeguarding and the maintenance. So we've come up with a plan, and it's not in writing yet, but we're working on an addendum to our current contract that would allow all of the, we would work with all the high schools to provide them lifeguard training, and that way all of their coaches can be certified lifeguards, and then they wouldn't have to wait for us to get staff scheduled. They could essentially take over all lifeguarding responsibilities. And then also they have a maintenance staff on site that are handling the bigger operations for the pool. So the job for the Parks Department maintenance staff is really to keep the pool clean, check the chemicals, but not a lot more than that. Is the idea was not to handle the heavy-duty maintenance that's always been up to the schools to take care of. In order to save funding, they're also able to take on those smaller jobs as well. So during the course of the year, we're going to start to phase back our lifeguards in scheduling as we get them more of their coaches and staff certified to be lifeguards. You'll see hours being reduced, which means we'll be able to allow more programming at our pool, which is exciting. And then again, the maintenance will start to wean back a little bit too as we get them hooked up with the right training that they need to be a certified pool operator. So once we give them the resources for that and they undergo that training, we're going to be a fallback in any case for right now. That way, if they do need lifeguards, we're still happy to help even in 6 months, just as we go through this transition period. It'll work out to where they're going to be able to really utilize their pools much closer to 100% than what we can offer at this time. For example, this summer, we were not able to offer 100% of their needs. We were about 40% of what they requested because of the activities and programs we have here at our pool. We were doing swim lessons for 300 youth at Pioneer Valley. And so then you have a polo team that wants to practice 8 hours a day at one of the other schools. We just didn't have the staffing, so they got 4 hours a day. It's really a win-win for all of us, and so that's where you'll see us starting to head by the end of this 2022-2023 school year. And so it's been a great thing. The other two items we talked about was shared bus time during the summer, so we could offer more trips to larger groups, and definitely amiable to that. And then the field space is something we're going to go into deeper discussions about it and how we can work together to share some of their field space during their non-use time. So again, that's a bigger conversation for down the road. The pool is definitely the focus during this last meeting. As we move forward again with recreation, we've talked about still planning, still moving. We're not going to go back to the printed rec guide. We have discussed this in the past. The flip book version has been a really big hit, so we'll continue to utilize that. It's much less expensive, and we're going to move back to a 4-time-a-year cycle that will have that recreation guide out instead of the printed version only going out twice a year. We're also able to keep that much more updated, and it's pretty instantaneously if we need to make a change or an addition, which is typically the case. The printed version, once we sent it out, if there was new programs or activities that became available, the public wasn't always aware of them. With the electronic version, the minute we update it, we can spread it out and share that information as well. So again, moving forward, we have Scott here to talk to you a little bit about parks and give you the update, but I wanted to maybe steal a little bit of his thunder. If you get a chance, drive by Chapel Plaza, you'll see that they've got the lighting installed and they're really moving on getting the road base put in, getting it ready for asphalt and pavers. I'm sorry, not asphalt, just pavers and grass. It's progressing quite nice, and we're hoping to have it open. The last word was October-ish, so don't hold me to it, but that's kind of what we're looking for as a grand opening date. Questions?
questions?
I have a little comment. So the other day, we were driving in the car, my husband was driving, and we were on West Main, and I said, oh, let's go check out Chapel Plaza, and he goes, oh, okay. And I said, oh, wow, look. Wait, if you hadn't been seeing it since before, you can't really see, it's just kind of a big mesh of nothingness. Anyway, yeah, but it'll
Yeah.
look good.
Yeah, so I was there, I tend to visit at least once a week, and so it was exciting to see the base going down for the pavers,
Yeah.
the lights, and then
It
you
looks
can really
good.
start to see it come together. I think what'll happen over the next couple of weeks is, now that they've got momentum, you'll see a lot happen really quickly. So that's always the exciting part, right? The infrastructure and underground wiring isn't that exciting, but take a look when you get over there.
Thank you.
Moving on, operate division report.
Commissioners, so now I get to talk about Chapel Park. You're right, Commissioner. A huge amount of work, as Dennis is saying, has gone in already. You just can't see it.
Yeah.
You know, they have to over-excavate, pull out all the roots and old pipes, and then compact everything, and all the utilities run. So hopefully now it's going to start looking like something pretty soon. So the wall was sort of the first thing, but all the footings are in and everything. Other construction projects, I forget if we've mentioned that it's partially completed. The Presker Trailhead parking lot, okay, it's not landscaped, but the parking lot is in. It's a road-based parking lot. It's open to be used now, so we'll be polishing that up in the future, but the public can already use it. There was no need to keep it closed. It's got some trees and shrubbery to go in and a little fencing. So that's sort of what's going on construction. Of course, we're still waiting for the fall for the Vets Park project to start, so that's still in the queue, but let's get Chapel looking good. Okay, moving on. You know what I'm going to talk about. I'll start with trees, because so it's a new budget year. So thankful to a certain person who moved over to Public Works, we now have a bigger tree maintenance budget than we used to. Okay, because a lot of our street tree budget comes from, in essence, gas tax. So someone kicked us a little extra money. So we've started off with a bang. We've done about $40,000 worth of work, which gets us right on track for what we need to be this year. Something we're trying to do different than in the past is, besides the pruning the trees, is root maintenance. In the past, we tended to do that on a request basis or a high need, meaning a sidewalk looks like this. Now we're being more proactive, and if we see roots looking like they're about to be badly behaved, we do some minor pruning to try to start stopping this, because it's the biggest negative about our street trees is what they do to sidewalks, and therefore the liability the city has. So we're trying something new. So that's going on. On the other note with trees is I have an ambitious goal of planting somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000 trees this year, and we're up to about 125 so far. So we'll keep going on that. We have multiple funding sources for that. That's grants, thanks to Brett for some money too, and just money's in our capital projects and stuff. So it's going along real good. We'll continue on that. All right. So we've talked about this before. I just wanted to touch on it again. Water reductions and what we're calling turf replacements. So we've all talked before that we've had to reduce water primarily on turf. That was sort of a request that we couldn't be using as much water. So by this time, you'll see parks have a little bit of stress on them, especially around the edges, not on the sports field. That's not an intent. If that happens, we correct it. Grassy basins definitely don't look as happy as they used to. But in addition to that, we've now, by a state mandate, we've been working on abandoning parkway turf. And I don't know if we've talked about that before, but just go outside here. What we're required to do is stop watering any turf that is non-recreational. So that's sort of separate from our water savings. So parkways are sort of the poster child, but the other one is actually around City Hall here. And I know we've warned about that. If you go out and look, City Hall has not been watered for at least 2 weeks. It's a stubborn piece of turf. It's not dying quickly, but we aren't watering it. So we're doing this all over the city in sort of a phased fashion because we're trying to protect our trees. So what's happening is some places turf has been abandoned and staff and contractors are replacing it quickly and watering the trees manually in between. In other places, we've reduced the water on turf. And again, staff and contractors are going around and modifying the irrigation, which means, and you can sort of see this on South McClellan, you're going to end up sort of with yellow and green patches all the way down the road, but it's where we're trying to keep the trees alive. And ultimately, we'll be replacing those, but with low water use shrubbery and more modern irrigation that's low water use. So right now, we've got projects going on the west side of town, on Westgate, Sonia, also up in the northeast on Seaward, and you'll continue to see us all over town doing this. It's a major project for this year, is this turf conversion. All right, here's one I haven't talked about, but you certainly heard it before, bathrooms. So bathrooms continue to get hit with a lot of vandalism. But administration has asked us to open them all up again because sometimes they were being closed either for repairs or in other cases just to try to stop the behavior. So in a plan worked out by Parks Operations with Recreation and with Casey Stone's Rangers, we've come up with a plan that we hope will be proactive in opening them up. We're adding some security to the doors. The rangers are going to be manually locking them at night, which is an extra load on them, but then they clear people out, and we were having problems with the automatic locks getting defeated and just causing more problems. So with all that at the same time, we are also, as we repair, we're converting over from the porcelain fixtures to stainless steel because it's harder to vandalize them. This is a costly item to do, so we're doing it sort of in pieces, either when we have to make a repair or in certain areas if it's just time. But, it's not all going to be done this year, but we're going to be working on that. All right, last, staffing as far as operations goes. I want to compliment Neville. He's been great on pushing forward on things. We have a new urban forest technician position moving through the process. We're going to be doing interviews next week. We had a lot of candidates, so this sort of belies it's hard to find people. There are a lot of good candidates. Further back in the process, but staff is also working on our 32-hour positions that we call Labor 3s. We have, between 4 and 6 openings, and so we really want to get that filled because that's a big, and there's more in the future, but I'm really happy that we have people in the pipeline. We've also been doing a lot of internal talking because we are now known as operations, so that's taken a little, there's no parks, there's no districts, things that the staff members were used to calling themselves. So now we're operations, and we're doing some redefining, and it's sort of in preparatory for everything Alex is hinting at. So we're doing some behind the scenes figuring things out. So that's about it, unless you have any questions.
Thanks, Scott.
Okay.
Thank you for a great report. Any commissioners? Commissioner Velasco?
No questions. Thank you.
Commissioners? Open?
I don't have anything.
I do. Sorry. We had our tree committee meeting on the 19th of July. And we had 3 people that aren't city people there. It was the first time we invited other people from the community, tree people from the community that were interested, and it went really well. We had a Zoom with the company that we've hired to implement our grant, to help implement our grant. So it was the first, it was cool. It was exciting, and there's a lot going on with it, and we'll keep you updated. But it was also interesting to have community members with different viewpoints and perspectives. So anyway, that's that, and we have another one next week, so stay tuned. Rancho Buena Vista Beautifiers had a meeting a couple weeks ago, and Jim Zemeckis. So we're hoping to get Jim Zemeckis. He has some Peanuts characters that are bigger than life-size, I believe. And last year, Brett I think he got the stuff situated at Buena Vista so that they could be plugged in and we could have the display over Christmas, for Christmas holiday. And it was going to be, a thing, and it didn't pan out. So we're hoping that this year we can get a hold of these guys and girls, because I think Lucy's part of it and Snoopy. But just to make a really great little holiday lighting show right there at Buena Vista Park. It won't cost anything, and it'll just be special in that neighborhood. So we're working on that. National Night Out. That's always the best event. The Rangers it was just so fun. Every year, I always think, it should be at Presker Park. And then last year, I think it was Aquistapache. And I thought, this was a really good park too. And then it was going to be over at, what's the guy's, Rotary Park, but what's the baseball field? I always get confused that name, because it's the guy's name and then it's Rotary Park. The baseball guy.
Ventura.
Yeah, it's, right? I mean, isn't it both? So, yeah, so it's anyway. And I thought, there's nowhere to park there. There's not going to be any park. But there's all this parking on the street. So it worked out. But it was a really nice event. And I got my son, every year I think, if only he was in town, because he would love this so much. And he was there, and he loved it so much. Anyway, the City Art Committee meeting we had. Yeah. And we're planning on the mural on the side of the library wall over here at City Hall. And we're working on that. Dennis is really working on it. And it's going to be a big, beautiful mural. And we're kind of trying to weed out what really should be there. And Dennis hired this great artist, our group of artists from Los Angeles, and it's something to look forward to. Now, I had a little thing about Leave the Leaves, but I guess we can talk later about that. They've been working, and the trees in my neighborhood on Seaward aren't looking too good, I'll just tell you. They're really, the cedars, right across, they're just all the way down. There's this and that. I know you guys are on it, but it's just worrying. Anyway, that's it. Thank you. It's been a good month.
Commissioner Velasco?
I don't have anything on my end. Thank you.
Wasn't such a good month for me. Since I had COVID and just things happened, so I'm better, so. My mind's not fully there yet, but I keep forgetting things.
Oh, no?
Well, my husband, he's complaining the same thing. You get kind of this fog brain, and
Oh, well, I've had COVID for a number of years then.
but
If that's the criteria.
How better?
The reason I'm so fidgety, I was telling him I got 3 discs right here, and I'm trying to get comfortable on this chair. And it's like 3 bulging discs that the doctor says,
Okay, are we really
my
gonna get
God,
into
I was trying to sit down for an hour.
Yeah.
Anyway, the adult basketball program, I've been over there for the last couple of weeks, and it's really a great program.
We-
The young men out there,
We call that Friday night wrestling.
it's really enjoyable. You guys ought to get out there and watch them one of these days, wherever they're playing, and it's a good park, so it's a good league.
Thanks.
Community interest items? Anybody?
Nothing coming up that I know
Just at a request of the community, it's been a while, last year, and I believe it may have come through you, Commissioner Molina, about affordable leagues. So after reviewing a lot of the leagues here in Santa Maria that are club, intended for a higher level participant, the department will be starting a soccer league in the fall. It's an 8-week program. The price is $45, which is the least expensive we saw in town was $90 for an entry-level league. Our league is not typical. It will be focusing a lot on values and characters as part of the coaching style. And so we're looking forward to that as well, teaching these younger ones about different values and sportsmanship that also work in real life as well. So that league, if you do hear, is not competing with club. It is at a lower level, although it will be competitive in nature. It's not intended for elite athletes. And again, we'll be starting that in the fall. Thank you for the comment about basketball. Our basketball person who's been running that, Joseph Holicky, who's done a great job for us, has tendered his resignation effective in a couple weeks. So we will be looking for both youth and adult program specialists. So if you know anyone who has experience or has an interest in learning about youth or adult sports, please send them to the website to interview or to apply for the position. And if they have more questions, they can call Devil or I. Thank you.
Sorry to see Mr. Holicky go. Good kid. Anything else? Well,
Next meeting
next meeting,
here next month.
next month.
We'll see you all here.
See you. This
Thank you.
meeting's adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Molina, for running the meeting.
Thank you.